I've attached 3 squares to each arm section. I've marked out on the back halfway along because I figured out that the stitch count of the front and back doesn't match up where there would be an even amount of squares in any way. So a square on either side is going to be overlapping from the front to the back. Plus, what we're going to need to do is attach the sleeve as we go along. So what I've done is I've marked out relevant stitches where 15 is going to begin, and here on this side at the back is where the first of 15 is going to begin and overlap onto the front, and that's where the next 15 starts. I've also marked out the first and the last stitch of the last row where we on the sleeve where we attached those granny squares, because we're just going to slip stitch. But anyway, we'll get to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in the middle of the back, because I figure that's going to be as, even looking as I can get it, I would say. All right, where are we? We're going to find the end of our yarn, and we're going to make a fresh slip knot. So making a fresh slip knot. We're still working with the right side of the work facing out too. Try not to bump the camera. With the right side of the work facing out. So yes. Oh, all right, now what we're going to do to begin with, because we're working sort of sideways, we find our next square that we're working on. We're just doing the same thing, but we're starting at this first stitch because there was 68 stitches at the back, so I've divided it into 34 each side. Yeah, 2 lots of 34. So this is the first one of the 34 for this side. So you're just going to be attaching your first square starting at that stitch. So it's the same as you did for the sleeve. Yeah, same as you did for the sleeve. You're going to, I think there's going to be 2 squares till you get to this point here. Yeah, there should be 2 squares till you get to this point. We're going to meet back up at this point because we're going to go through how we're going to attach the sleeve. Sorry, we're going to go through how we're going to attach the sleeve and move on to the front with the same square. So yeah, I'll see you at that point and we'll talk about it then. Okay, now that I've begun to attach the third square along from the center of the back. So here we are, 1, 2, 3, and I've attached it to the last 4 stitches of the back just there. And upon further revision, I've decided we're not going to attach the sleeve yet. That's going to come later. I'll actually attach the sleeve to the body when I'm joining the seams of the squares together. Otherwise, it's just too messy and kind of looks ridiculous. So yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bypass the sleeve completely for the moment. So putting that aside, sort of move the sleeve to this side for the moment, and then picking up the front, we're just going to move straight onto the front. So where am I? Okay, I'm going to need to drop that loop and pick up the loop through the next stitch of the square. So that will be 5, and then the first stitch along on the front will be the first stitch along on the front and the 5th stitch of the square. So just like this, just joining that, making sure it's tight enough. So just like that. And now we've joined the front, well, this side of the front to the back, which is excellent. Okay, and then moving on, you're going to drop the loop, pick it up through the next stitch on the square, which will be number 6. Pull that through and single crochet into the next stitch along at the front. So yes, we're bypassing the yarn for the moment. We're gonna work on that later. It was looking too messy when I was trying to join it as I went along here, now like this. So now we're moving on to stitch number 7 of the granny square. Pull that loop through stitch number 7, single crochet to the next stitch along on the front. So yeah, we're going to do that. So you're going to complete joining that square, then you're going to move along joining the rest of the squares to the front, till you get to this one, and then you've got, I think you've got 11 stitches just here left over at the front. So you'll start joining a square, 11 stitches of a square. Then you will turn over to, bypassing the next arm as well, you're going to turn over to the back, complete the remaining stitches of the square onto the back, and then just the remaining stitches will be enough for the remaining squares. Well, for the remaining squares of the body. Yeah. Alright, so that's what we're doing. I don't think I need to run you through how to do that again. I think we can just go away, do it separately, meet back up once it's done, have a look at what we've got. Yes, this is quite the roller coaster of a sweater at the moment. It's getting there, you know, it's what I wanted, so I'm making it happen. Yes. Alright, I'll see you soon once we've joined all our squares and joined the front and the back. We'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, see you soon. Alright, now that I've joined all of the squares, so all of the squares are joined to both the sleeves and the body, I've also reached a conclusion that I won't be joining the sleeves to the body at all. They're going to be separate from the body. It's going to look a little different, but I think it's going to look really good anyway. I think it's going to be fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on putting in the rest of the body and then putting in the rest of the sleeve. So working off the squares from the bottom. And then after we've done those, or after we've done that, we're going to work on joining the squares together. So joining up the gaps. So yes, let's just proceed. Let's just get on with it. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, finding the end of my yarn, I'm going to make a fresh slip knot. So making a fresh slip knot. Just like this. I'm going to pick up one of the middle, on the back, one of the middle squares. I'm going to find, so we're working along the bottom row. We're going to find the first stitch along, so there'll be 15 along here. We're going to find the first of those, which will be this one. So remember, the stitch falls to this side. So when you're working with the stitch facing this way, the stitch falls to the left of the post. So there is the post just there, and there's the stitch just up there to the left of it. So you're going to stick your hook through there, adjust the knot that you've made to your hook, pull it through that stitch, and adjust the knot to the hook. Then from there you're going to chain up 2, so 1, 2, and next to that chain of 2 you're going to be putting your first double crochet. So that's 1, then moving on to the next stitch it's 2, so there'll be 15 across. When you get to the 15th one across, we're going to meet back up and we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, see you soon. Alright, here I am, and I've put my 15 double crochets across the bottom there. So all I'm going to do now is pick up the next square along, and straight from that last double crochet that I did, I'm going to look for the first stitch on the next square along. So there's that post, so it'll be that one just there, and I'm just going to double crochet straight into the stitch, the first stitch on the bottom of this, so the first of the 15th for this square. The first of the 15, so that double crochet straight into the next square. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you're working 15 across this square. Then once you get to the end, you pick up the next square along. Until you're going to do that for all the squares around the body till you get to the last one. So there'll be 9 squares till you get to the last one. Once you reach the last one, we're going to meet back up. I'm going to talk about how we're going to join them round and then just proceed from there. So I'll see you when you get to this square. Yeah, okay, see you soon. Alright, here I am at the end of the round, just putting in, oh no, I've put in all my double crochets into this last square at the end of the round. So I'm just going to pick up that first square at the back just here. I'm going to look for that chain of 2 that I did before my first double crochet, and at this point you should have 135 stitches around for the body. So with that chain of 2 just there, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 to close the round, just like that. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is chain up 2, turn the work, and be double crocheting. I'll be double crocheting back in the other direction. Once I get to the end, I will slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 to close the round, chain up 2, turn the work, and like I said, I turn the work every time I chain up 2 to start another round because it stops the seam from drifting to the sides. So I'm going to do this, and I'll be doing the body to a length that I'm happy with, and once I've done that, I'm going to add the ribbed hem, which is going to be the same as the hem that I did for the, well, the same as the ribbing that I did for the collar. So front post, back post, but I'll meet up with you again once it comes time to do that. So what you're going to do for the sleeves is you're going to do the same thing you did just here. You're going to be double crocheting across the 15 along the bottom of the square, joining to the next square with a double crochet, which is the first of the 15 for that square, and then joining it once you get to the end like you did for this one, and then chaining up 2, turn the work, and you know, just repeating that process until the sleeve is the length that you want it to be. And again, we're going to be adding ribbed cuffs with the front post, back post to the sleeves. So yes, I will meet back up with you at some point now that we've done that. We also need to join these squares, join the gaps. So we're going to meet back up for that as well. Yeah, not sure which yet. I think we'll do that at the end. The very end, we'll join these. Alright, so I'll see you soon once we've crocheted to the length that we're happy with, and we'll go through how to do a ribbed hem, which will be exactly the same process for the body and the sleeves. Alright, see you soon. Okay, now that I've crocheted this sleeve to a length that I'm happy with, I'm going to quickly run you through how we're going to just add that ribbed hem. It's very, very simple. It's basically just same as we did the collar. So we're obviously chaining up 2, but this time we're adding it to, you know, the end of something rather than starting with it. So chaining up 2, turning the work, and then we're just front post, back post stitching all the way around. So there's that first stitch there. We do a front post, 1 front post, then next stitch back post, and you're just going to do that all the way around. And for my cuffs and the hem, I'm just doing 6 rounds of front post, back post, just like I did for the collar. So that's what that is. I've already done the hem and the cuff of the other sleeve, so this is all I have to do left of this one. And then once I've done that, we're going to meet back up with you again. Well, I'm going to meet back up with you again, and we're going to talk about how to join the sides of the granny squares so that we get rid of those gaps in the sleeve. Also, what I'm doing is, oh, that's twisted. Also, what I'm doing is I'm putting a single crochet edging around this gap, so this sort of underarm side gap. So there's a single crochet edging, so I'm going to talk you through how to do that. And then, yeah, once we've done that, we'll be done. We'll be finished. So I will see you again shortly. Let's just get this cuff done. So front post, back post for 6 rounds. Obviously it's just like any other round. You slip stitch at the end of the round, you slip stitch into the chain 2 from the beginning, chain up 2, turn the work, and yeah, front post, back post. All right, see you soon. All right, now that I finally reached the stage where I'm ready to join the gaps between the squares of the squares. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and this is going to be the same process for absolutely all of them, the ones on the body and the ones on the sleeve, except for the one that joins in the middle just there and leads up into the underarm gap. That's going to be different. For that one, we're going to be, see, for these ones you can sort of start joining at either end. You can join from this, start at this end, or start at this end. Doesn't really matter. But for this one, we're going to be starting at this end because I'm going to be putting single crochets all the way along the gap. So you're going to be sort of joining these 2 squares together. So joining these 2 squares, and then we'll be working 2 single crochets into each double crochet row end. So you can see just there's like always with a double crochet row end, you can find there's 2 places to put a stitch. Try and get closer. Yeah, so there's that double, here I'll show you, there's a double crochet row end just here, and if you look there's a space there, and then beside that a space no, there's a space there, sorry, and then a space beside it just there that you can put a single crochet into. So we're going to be edging the underarm gap with single crochet. So that's what I'm doing. So I will work on doing that with you. Now what we do to begin this is we find some fresh yarn. We're going to make a slip knot. So making a new slip knot, we're going to find our squares that we're going to join. So it's going to be these two here, like this. You kind of want to sort of make sure these scraggly ends are pushed inside so that you're not working them onto the outside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the very first stitch that we did. You don't have to worry about these double crochets that you did just here, but of this square, of the first stitch along here that you've already put a stitch into, you're going to work into that one. So pretty much there's going to be obviously the 15 stitches to join the square, but there's going to be 2 extras for each of them. There's going to be 2 extras because you're also joining these 2 stitches at the top just here. So you'll be joining these, hang on, yep, is that right? No, not those ones. Oh, except yes, that one. You'll be joining that one and where are we? That one that you've already done, and then working with the 15, and then when you get to the end here, you would be joining that one and that one that you've already done. So 17 all up. I hope that makes sense. I hope it's not too complicated. Anyway, let's just move on to doing this. So finding these ones here that we're going to be joining, you're obviously starting with the one on the right. You're going to stick your hook through that stitch that you've already gone into for the other end. So sticking your hook through that, find the slip knot, adjust it to the hook, pull it through that stitch, pull the knot tight. Obviously not too tight, just tight enough that it's adjusted, but kind of loose enough that you can still work with it. Then moving to the other side, to the other square, see that stitch that you've already put a stitch onto on the other end, you're going to go into that, pull up a loop, single crochet, drop the loop, move to the next stitch along, which will be the first of the 15 for this side. Pick that stitch up, pull it through the little stitch, pick the loop up, pull it through the stitch, then move on to the next stitch along on the square, which will be that one, and that'll be the first of the 15 stitches on this square. So you'll be working 15 stitches up the side. I'll meet back up with you. Also, I just want to mention quickly, see this join just here? Included in the stitch count will be the very tight little stitches on either side of this join. So you can see just here, there's a stitch just there. And then on the other side of that, you're going to be working into that stitch just there. So that one's not too tight, which is really good. So that one, those are part of the stitch count. So just make sure you including those to keep the count of 15 steady. All right, so I'll meet you when you've done your 15 and we'll talk about where to go from there. All right, now that I've put those 15 single crochets all the way up the side, but obviously the stitch count would be 16 single crochets, including the very first ones at the bottom just there. So now what I'm going to do to make it 17 is working into that, the last stitch along the top, just there on the square on this side. You're going to be pulling that loop through. Then going to the first stitch along on the top side of this square, I'm going to be single crocheting it to that. So that makes it 17 single crochets to join those 2 squares. All right. And as you can see, I kept the scraggly ends of the square just there on the inside. Okay, so now what we're doing is from here, because we're working into what we're going to be putting our single crochets into that underarm gap now, and we're working single crochets into the double crochet row ends, 2 single crochets per row end. So what we do straight from this last stitch that we did is we chain up 1, just like this, then move straight to the first double crochet row end, which is just here. So this one just here, and you're going to be putting 2 single crochets into that row end. So let's see, where am I going to put my first one? Probably just in there. So that'll be my first single crochet. I'm trying to work this in as I go. So 1, and then moving along to the next part of that double crochet row end, which is just there. So there's another one, 2. Then moving on to the next row end, which is just here. So you're going to be putting 1, and then the second part of that row end, which is just here, and 2. So you can kind of see, like with the row ends, there's a large space and a small space. So moving on to the third row end along just there, going into that space just there, which is the small space, with 1, and then the next space along, get a bit closer, and then the next space along on that row end, which is 2. Okay, so I think there were, what were there? There were 16 rows of increase for the sleeve, for the shoulder. So you'll be working 32 single crochets up the side till you get to the middle. And once you get to the middle, I'm going to meet back up with you. So once you get to the collar, actually, I'm going to meet back up with you. So see, just working up the side, work 32 single crochets up the side till you get to the collar. We'll meet back up and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, now that I've worked those 32 single crochets up the inside part of the sleeve just there, there's going to be 2 stitches just here on the collar that I can work a single crochet into each of them. So these 2 just joining ones here, I'm going to work single crochet into both of those, and that next one along just there. And now I'm going to be turning to the underarm body part just here. And once again, there's going to be 32 single crochets because there's 16 double crochet row ends going down. So you're going to be working 2 into each row. So that's 1, 2, then moving on to the next one, 3, 4, next one, 5, 6, and then once you get to this midsection just here, you're going to put those joining stitches just down there. You'll put a single crochet into each of them. You will turn to the other side, so you'll turn to the other side of the underarm part just here. You'll work 32 stitches up along that side till you get to the collar, where you'll put those 2 single crochets into those joining stitches. Then you'll be working your 32 single crochets, down the other side of the sleeve. And then once you get to the other side, I'm going to meet you back down here. We'll talk about how to close it up. And yeah, then we're going to be finished. And all you're going to have to do is weave in scraggly ends on the inside. And I gotta say, I wasn't sure about this for a while. But I have tried the sweater on since then, and I'm just so unbelievably happy with the way it's turned out. I'm in love with it. I think this is my new favorite design, my new favorite sweater. Anyway, we'll talk about it more when I try it on. So yes, see you soon once you get to the very end, when you've done all your single crochets. Okay, now that I've put in all of those 128 single crochets around that underarm gap, we're going to you'll see there's one space just left at the bottom here to put another single crochet into, so that last connecting space just there. So you're going to put a single crochet into that, because as has been the way with this garment, the single crochet, or the chain one from the beginning, is going to act as a stitch. I'll just say that. So where are we? There's the single crochet from the beginning. And what you're going to do now is, from that last single crochet you did just there, you're going to find the first single crochet you did along, so which one would be that just there. You're going to slip stitch. You're going to slip stitch into that to close that off. There we go, just like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1, find your scissors. So finding your scissors, you're going to cut the yarn. Oh, got a bit enthusiastic just there. Cut the yarn, pull that chain through to secure it. Then you're going to just using the same process, obviously though without the single crochets up the arm gap. You're just going to join these ones, so there'll be 17 single crochet joining stitches. So working from okay, so that's it. I don't think I need to go through that with you. I think you know what to do. So that's it. This has been a process. It's been quite something, but I've enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it when I tried it on and realized how much I like it. So there's that. Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been really good. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to finish those gaps. I'm going to weave in my ends. And then once we've done that, we're going to go away. We're going to try on our sweaters. We're going to see how they look. Believe me, they look great. I love this one. All right, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to go away, going to do my things. And yeah, see you soon. Alrighty, here it is, all finished. So yeah, as you can see, this one's turned out really well. It turned out better than I expected it to. So yes, I'm very, very happy with it. I really love this design. And I love the Starflower Granny Square. I think it looks really great on this particular design. So yes, new favorite sweater. Definitely going to be wearing this when I'm in public. And I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Hope you've made yourself a lovely sweater. And yeah, look forward to seeing you next time. Okay, see you soon.